Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. We are happy to have you here. And thank you for joining us. My name is Kiana T. I am an associate from Yangon office. I will be one of the speakers today event. Today, we will be diving into key updates on industrial design registration in Myanmar, a subject that is both timely and important. We are confident that you will find our presentation interesting and valuable for you. I'm honored to be joined by our expert speaker, who brings a wealth of experience and knowledge, Mrs. Kim Yu A, a senior associate from Taliki's Yangon office as well. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping notes to have the seminar run smoothly. This webinar is being recorded. All the participants are currently on mute. To minimize the background noise, we encourage you to engage with us by asking questions. Please use the chat function located at the bottom of your screen. All questions will be addressed at the end of the session. If we run out of time, we will follow up via email. Your feedback is incredibly important to us. At the end of the webinar, a QR code will appear on the screen. Please take a moment to scan it and share your thoughts. So we will move to our presentation. Before we start the presentation, I would like to give background information about the industrial design law in Myanmar. The industrial design law was enacted back in 2019 as a part of the four major intellectual property legislation. The official acceptance of industrial design filing began on October 31st, 2023. After that, now nearly 2 years, and it's an ideal moment for us to review the recent development and best practice. With that, let's get started, and I will now move to the next slide. This is our agenda, and we will cover 5 areas. The first one is essential filing requirements. The second one is formality defect notification, which is issued by the Intellectual Property Department of Myanmar. And the third one is response to formality defect. And the fourth one is publication, which is also issued by the IBD. And the final one is registration and certificate issuance. We will now move to essential filing requirement. As most of you already know, we would like to provide you with the statutory definitions of industrial design. So this is provided in Section 2J of the Industrial Design Law 2019. Since this is like in industrial design, so it's about the appearance of the industrial or handicraft product. It also includes the lines, contours, colors, shapes, textures, or materials of such product or its ornamentation. This is defined by the law itself. Now we will show some example of industrial design. These are like related to Myanmar culture. So you can see like Myanmar culture influenced temple design here. The first one is the umbrella. We created with the Bagan temple art. So this is unique, and this can also be considered as industrial design if statutory requirements are met. The second one is the book, stationery set, but the cover is unique because it created with Tanaka design and also like peacock feature. The third one is the cup. On the surface of the cup, you can see the like unique design. The last one is a fashionary item, which is the bag, and we cover with Myanmar zodiac sign, which are like for Monday, Tuesday, and we have like specific animal on it. So these are sample design example. Now we will move to like productive industrial design. What are productive industrial design? You must meet the requirement mentioned in section 13, 14, and 15 of industrial design law. The design must be new. So this is the important one. So all the productive design must be new and independently created. In terms of new, the design must not be disclosed before the filing date or prior to filing date. in all form, which will cover like writing, use, publication, displays, or by any other means. And in addition to that, the design must be significantly different from existing design. So in order to be protected, these are the qualifications that you need to take note. On the other hand, which industrial designs are unprotectable? Designs that are primarily focused on technical or functional considerations are not eligible for design protection in Myanmar. In addition to that, as Myanmar is a country that is rooted in culture and has sovereignty, so designs that are conflicted with public order, faith, or cultures of Myanmar are also not protectable. This is mentioned in section 16. Now we will focus on minimum requirements for industrial design application. If the applicant meet all the minimum statutory requirement, the filing date will be allocated. So this one is also important for all of us. The first one is the ID1 form, which is the application form. However, if the application is submitted online at the IBD e-filing system, the ID1 form is automatic form. So it is a default form and you don't need to download anything. The next step is filing particular of the applicant. If the applicant is a person, we must provide the full name and address of the person. If the applicant is an entity or legal entity, such as like company, full name and address of the company must be provided. In case where the applicant is residing overseas, the ID2 form must be submitted along with the application form. We call an ID2 form, which is the appointment of representative. The form must be notarized in the country of the applicant. The full details of the ID2 form will be mentioned in the later slide. Another essential element of the application is obviously like a clear and representations of the industrial design. For example, if you are applying for an umbrella, you must indicate that our design is umbrella. And another important thing is the specification of the product to which the industrial design is applied. We must also provide that. And the last one is payment of application fee. The official fee for the registration must also be paid. This is mentioned in section 22A and 23 of the Industrial Design Law. We will talk about priority claim. Here, we would like to highlight that Myanmar is not a member of Paris Convention yet. Therefore, the priority claim can only be made under the TRIPS agreement for WTO member countries. So this section will only apply to WTO member states. The priority claim must be submitted within like 6 months after the first filing date. If the applicant cannot submit the priority claim document along with the application form, which is the ID1 form, this document can be submitted within 3 months from the filing date in Myanmar. If the priority claim documents are not either in English or Myanmar language, which are like official language of IBD, the certified translation must be provided. So as I mentioned earlier, Myanmar is not a party to Paris Convention. So Paris Convention member cannot apply priority claim. As I mentioned earlier, this is the more detail about the ID2 form, which is the appointment of representative is a statutory requirement for the applicant, opposer, or any rights holder or beneficiary who reside in another country. The local representative can be appointed with the ID2 form. The applicant is a person, it can be signed by himself. Or if the applicant is a company or legal entity, it should be signed by the authorized person of such company. And another thing is that intellectual property department will conduct the local representative directly in case the local representative is appointed. The next slide is about the overall step for the application process of industrial design in Myanmar. And my colleague, Mrs. Kim Yumyo A, will explain to you. So I will pass the floor to her and welcome her. Thank you, Yadana, and everyone who are joining our webinar today, and thanks for your time. So, as my colleague explained, another slide, we will be talking about an overview of industrial design application under the Industrial Design Law of 2019 in Myanmar. So, for the minimum filing requirement, we already clarified in previous slide by my colleague. So first of all, for filing an application for industrial design, if the applicant is outside of Myanmar, they must appoint a local representative like Delegate and Gavins. We are authorized representative certified by Myanmar Intellectual Property Department holding the representative certificate. So after we submitted the industrial design application, we can get the application number and application date within 3 or 5 days. But the date may vary depending on the volume of the application that received by the IB department. After that, the IB department will start the examination process. If there is no any requirement in our application, the application can be proceeded for the publication stage. If not, the IB department will issue the notification requesting the applicant to provide any amendment or additional requirements under the notification. Then the applicant will have 30 days from the notification date to complete those requirements requested in the notification. If the applicant cannot complete those requirements within 30 days, they are entitled to request the time extension for 2 times, and 30 days for each time can be requested. If everything's are completed, the application will be proceeded for the publication stage. The publication period is 60 days from the date of publications, and those 60 days include all public holiday and weekends, and it cannot be extended. If there is no any opposition during that 60-day period, the IB department will issue a notification requesting the applicant to pay the registration fees. If not, there is any opposition within 60 days period by any third party, the IB department will proceed for the substantive examination. And after the all process are completed, and if there is no opposition, the industrial design can be registered. The initial terms of the registration is 5 years from the filing date, and it can be renewed for twice, and 5 years can be renewed for each time. So the total production terms of an industrial design under the industrial design law is 15 years from the date of filing. During the application process, if any party, like applicant or opposing party, some kind like that, they do not satisfy with any decision of the registrar, an appeal can be filed at the IB agency within 60 days from the date of such decision. If anyone is not satisfied with the decision of IB agency, they are entitled to submit an appeal to the IB code within 90 days from the date of decision of the IB agency. This is an overall process of the industrial design from filing up to registration, including an appeal. Then my colleague will continue the next slides. Now we will move to the examination process. As you noted before, as a part of the process, the whole process, examination process is one of them. So we would like to focus on examination process for you. And after the minimum filing requirement, as we mentioned in the earlier slide, if these requirements and the official fee are fulfilled, a filing date will be assigned to the applicant. Otherwise, the examiner will inform the applicant to provide any additional information as required, and the deadline for the response is 30 days. If the applicant cannot make it within 30 days, the request for time extension can be filed for another 30 days, and the request for extension can be done twice, so in total like 16 days. When the response cannot meet the deadline, and it will be considered abandoned. So if the applicant cannot file within the time frame, the application will be abandoned. An abandoned application may be reapplied for within 16 days from the date of abandonment. We also mentioned about the refusal in case the applied industrial design is not inconsistent with the definitions of industrial design mentioned in section 2J, or it is not inconsistent with public order, morality, faith, or cherished culture of Myanmar, which is mentioned in section 16B. The design application will be refused. This is mentioned in Rules 10 of Industrial Design Rules. Now we will move to formality defects notification, which is issued by the IPD. We list out some frequent defeat requested by the IPD. This is not the overall process, or this is not like full process for office action. We list out based on our practice. And the first one is an authorization letter when the applicant is a legal entity or a company. If a company applies for the registrations of the industrial design, the authorization letter is required. That is to say, the letter must prove that the signing person of the form has the right to sign the form on behalf of the applicant company. Now we move to the second one, which is the ID1A form. In full, we call a signed statement justifying the applicant rights to the registrations of an industrial design. This one is required when the applicant and the creator of the design are not the same. The applicant must assure that he has the right to apply the application. And the third one is about the assignment or transfer agreement. When there is an assignment case or contract or transfer agreement, the applicant must provide the related background information and the agreement to show that the applicant is entitled to apply the design application in Myanmar. The fourth one is about the drawing of the industrial design. One drawing of the industrial design is submitted, it must be like 7 view. So it must cover like front, rear, top, bottom, left, right, and overall perspective of the design. The last one is the written description of the industrial design. We have word limited up to 100 words, and it must explain about the representations of the industrial design. It shouldn't cover the technical function of the design. We move to respond to formality defects. When you receive the notification from the IPD, we need to respond to them within the time frame. So this is the process, and this is the official form you have to use. This official form is in Myanmar language. As noted before, the deadline to respond to the notification is 30 days. An extension can be requested with the official form, which we call the request for time extension, which is ID80 form, and we can apply it up to 2 times. And whenever we reply to the IBD, we have to attach the notarized appointment of representative so that we can prove that we have the authority to apply on behalf of the applicant. We will now move to publication. Once the application and everything inside the application is settled for the requirement mentioned in the laws and the rules, the application will be proceeded to the publication process, which is a part of the whole process. And this publication is for invitations of opposition from anyone. So it means that any third party can find the opposition within the publication period. The opposition period is only like 16 days, which is the same as publication period, and it cannot be extended. The IBD published its journal online, and this is the link that publication can be accessed. The IBD normally publishes its journal on every 5th of each month, and the first publication for opposition is September 5, 2024. Since then, each month, the IBD issue its journal online. If someone finds the opposition, the IBD will conduct the substantive examination. This is about the publications of the industrial design for opposition. One, the IBD published online. The following informations of the industrial design application will be mentioned. Obviously, it is the application number, the filing date, applicant name and address, and details of the local representative, class and subclass of industrial design, and the product indication. If there is any priority, the priority claim information will be mentioned, and the description and drawing of the industrial design. Now we move to the opposition process. If opposition is filed, the application will be examined by the IBD for the substantive examination. So this is mentioned in the earlier slide. Talking about the oppositions and substantive examination, the application will be examined by the RBD whether the design meets the definition, which is the statutory definition mentioned in industrial design law. And another one is whether the design applied is new or independently created, whether it is prototype design or not, and if the applicant provides sufficient evidence that he has the right to apply. So these things will be checked by the IBD in the substantive examination. One, there is no opposition filed. If no opposition is filed or opposition is withdrawn or rejected, the design will be proceeded to registration process, which is the last process. Registration fee must be paid within the 16 days from the date of notification received. This is the final step, registration and certificate issuance. The last step is about the registration fee payment. After the opposition period has passed, registration fee can be paid. The certificate of the registrations of the industrial design will be issued by the IBD. The first publication for the registration certificate is June 5, 2025. This is the first application that announced for the registered industrial design in Myanmar. The certificate is valid for 5 years from the filing date and can be renewed twice. So altogether, it will be 15 years. Currently, the certificate for the registration is electronically, and especially for the application that were filed online. So this is the end of the process, and hope you enjoy our seminar. If you have any questions or comments, you can let us know.